So let's fancy up our recoil and our shooting mechanics. So first of all, I'm going to go into my controller and I'm going to create an empty game object which I'm going to call FPS objects. Okay, then I'm going to parent my pivot underneath the FPS objects. Then inside my pivot, I'm going to create a new object which I'm going to call recoil. I'm going to parent the main camera over there. Okay, the setup is kind of important for this. So let's see, pivot 0, 0. Okay, then on my controller, let's go and open this up. Technically, we're going to need to know the transforms or the game objects for FPS objects and TPS objects. Okay, but we're going to add that later. Right now, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to assign the recoil transform. Let's save that and let's go and parent that over there. Okay, let's assign this. Then let's go inside our controller and we're going to start writing the handle recoil. So handle recoil. First of all, I need to know if there is a recoil flag and if we have shoot. Let's not set it to true. Then in shooting, we know if we're here, we have already shot, so that means recoil flag is true. And let's start doing with a recoil. I'm going to pass the delta, of course. Then we can start recoil. So we're going to have a target rotation which is basically going to start as 0. Then we need to find our lerp speed where we have the reset speed, and let's calculate that by delta. We're going to need to assign that onto the base weapon. So let's do recoil reset speed. Let's start with 1. Let's say maybe 3. So that will be current weapon recoil reset speed. We need to assign a curve as well for, well, the curve the recoil is going to take, and that will be a static, well, somewhat of a static curve. That will be something the players can actually learn and, you know, hold on with the recoil. So basically, like CSGO, that you can learn the pattern of the recoil and you can move the other way, and yeah, it will make for a better competitive sport, if you will. Okay, so that will be your recoil curve. You're also going to need a recoil multiplier for this. I'm just going to start with 1 for now and we'll see. Okay, so back to our controller. Let's try this. Let's find the recoil we're going to have. Then on our current weapon, we're going to use recoil curve or current weapon.weapon recoil curve dot evaluate. We need to have a curve T as well. Let's store this over here for now. By current weapon recoil multiplier. Now this is the recoil for the horizontal. So if recoil flag is on, then our target rotation will be quaternion Euler new. Well, I don't want to use a new over here, so let's do vector 3 Eulers, vector 3.0. Then e.x will be the recoil value, which we do not have yet. We need to assign that from the weapon as well. Let's see, public float recoil value, and that's how much up it's going. And let's see, recoil value. I think though we should be saving the recoil value though. Yeah, I think we should save the recoil value here. You'll see why. So minus recoil value, the y will be the value we get from our horizontal recoil. Okay, the rest can stay at 0. Then our new target rotation will be the Euler of this, will be from the Euler of this. Then we can get, okay, recoil set. We're going to override our recoil speed, our lerp speed that we're going to be using, and that is because we need from our current weapon, the recoil speed we have of that. So let's do public float recoil speed. We'll find the values later. For now, let's just write them. And let's name this to lerp speed actually. Then on our curve T, we're going to be adding by delta by current weapon curve speed. Okay, now if curve T is greater than 1, curve T is 0, then we're going to start our recoil. Okay, then we kind of need to know now if we are shooting again. So that should be this. Let's try one thing. Let's say that this is actually one shot. So after you fire this, the recoil flag is going to be closed. Then, as you can see, we need on the recoil value, we need on our current weapon, this is the recoil kick. So that's the recoil value, which we get again from our current weapon as a weapon. Recoil flag. Okay. Then on the else, if curve T is greater than, if we're not shooting, if it's greater than 1, then we're going to clamp it to 1. Then we're going to reset the recoil value back to what it was initially. Okay, if curve T is greater than 0, then we're going to subtract from that delta by current weapon dot curve reset speed, or recoil reset speed. Okay, we're going to set the H recoil to 0, so we get new values. Then finally, on the recoil of this, or on the recoil transform, the local rotation is going to be quaternion lerp of recoil of our own recoil and the target rotation and the lerp speed. Okay, let's try this and we'll see what needs changing. We're going to add this after we start shooting. Okay, So handle recoil, we'll need to be passing the delta. Perfect. That's nice. Then minimize this and let's select our item, our test item, just so that we see what we're actually doing. And we need to assign some values. I'm going to create, think of a recoil curve, something like that. Okay, this is from 0 to 1 because this is our local coordinates on rotations. You basically just need small values, and that's where the recoil multiplier is going to play if you're going to make big ones. And that's how you're going to move left and right once you shoot. Let's say recoil value of 1, curve speed, just going to leave them at 1 right now, and we're going to start shooting and see how that behaves. Okay, there is a tiny amount of recoil, so let's try something higher. Okay, you can see that this is happening. Let's say recoil multiplier by 3, recoil speed by 3, by 3. Okay. So I'm going to set recoil speed, reset speed to 1. Let's say recoil multiplier by 5, and let's say like 45, 60, or let's try 65. Yeah, it's pretty tight right now. And you can see it's going up and down. It basically works like shake. There's not much going on. Mostly on the horizontal value though. Let's try multiplying that by something higher. Let's see that. Okay, let's give me 1 second. Okay, so some changes on the order of this. So we're still doing the same thing. I've added a new kick amount. Okay, the rest is still stays the same. We have a value of our curve T, a recoil multiplier. Then inside our recoil flag, when we know if we're shooting, we are overwriting the layer speed. Our curve amount now is based on the subdivision, not on a multiplication where it was before, just so that we are consistent with this. Then the rest is the same. Then the kick amount will be the same as our recoil value. Well, it will actually be the opposite. Okay, recoil flag is false. The same stuff stays over here, but H recoil now stays at 0, so we can be using the same curve T that we have over here. Okay, so we do not reset it. It will reset by itself when the curve T is at 0. Then after that, we create the new target rotation. We overwrite our target rotation and create the Euler by using the kick amount and the recoil. Okay, so one more thing, you can see that I'm actually using crazy values on the recoil multiplier because of the curve I have over here. The maximum position you can see over here is like, this is, if you cannot see it on the video, this is 0.05. So we need to multiply this on a value that is actually make any sense for Eulers. Okay, and you can see that when I start shooting, it actually starts rotating a lot. And that's what we actually want. Let's add the recoil value. I think 35 work pretty good. Okay, we're going the opposite way. I think it has to do with the negative value we had over here, so just set that to be the positive value and hit play. I think that should do it. Okay, it doesn't. I'm going to select my recoil object, and you can see that the problem is that we're going positive values. Let's try adding this then on the negative. the H recoil, let's assign the negative kick amount over here, and let's see what that's going to do. That will fix it. I think that will fix it. Yeah, that fixes it. Okay, that's too much, of course, but it is consistent based on the curve we are using over here. Okay, maybe something like this. You notice the values are still very tiny. We could use something higher, or you could recreate the curves. This is just the random curves I did. So let's set this up like to maybe 8,000 instead of 10,000, and let's see what this is going to change. Okay, so first of all, our equal value yeah, okay, let's fix the tilt that's just happened. Minus kick amount. The kick amount starts at 0, but the recoil flag sets it to that. I think it's the kick amount that does this. Okay, so we'll should say, well, first of all, let's pass this over here, and we will say kick amount if it's the recoil flag, that, if not, the Euler of this will just be the recoil transform local Euler angles.x until it goes back to, now that'll just be 0 actually. Let's try this. Let's see if it does any changes. Of course, the gunplay is the most important thing into this, so that's why we need to pay extra attention. Now we're doing something wrong, I'd say. First of all, let's set this to 25, and what we're doing wrong is yeah, the H recoil should be on the curve T. Yeah, curve T I believe should stay at 0. So curve T, before you assign this, mathf.clamp 0 to 1 curve T. So even if it's lower than 0, it's going to be clamped at 0. I think it was because of that. Well, almost getting there. Let's see if the rotation is from the recoil. I'm pretty sure it's from the recoil. So it's the Y amount again. Don't see why though. This maybe it's because we add too much. We could do the back.log H recoil onto this. And I think we could also say and use this only over here. It's a bit of a dirty code, but it works, so whatever. Okay, and you can see that we actually use the recoil curve. It's pretty consistent on what it's doing. So we can remove this. Then let's go. It's all a matter of testing our weapons, pretty much, and our weapon values. So I'd say maybe that wasn't that bad. Maybe 25. I'd say maybe curve speed can just stay at 1. And say that I'm not really going to worry that much about the values right now, because we can see that it's working fine. Okay, I'd say maybe even let's set this to this one. This is looping. You can loop a curve just like that. So let's say curve speed at 3, and let's do recoil value of 5 and maybe 5000. Okay, and I'm going to consider this video complete actually, because it's all a matter of testing the values right now. And of course we can play, and you can see that the more you shoot, it actually the worse it gets to this. The worse recoil you get. But it's still controllable. Awesome. So just play with the values, and this video is complete. So as always, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and if you like to see more stuff, more videos, more series, more of everything, then of course consider supporting my Patreon so we can keep making all of these nice things we are making. I'll see you next time.